3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3.
This is what it is, okay? I said empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Welcome to the 18th episode of Deployment Dojo. This is a live show where we introduce and discuss software installation topics using the WiX Toolset. I'm your host, Rob Mensching, and joining me today is my very good friend and first student of the dojo, David. David, how are you doing?
Hello there. Pretty good.
All right. So, David, do you remember way back when we were kids and we were doing Taekwondo and we'd study for months and months and then we'd take a belt test?
Sure.
Try to get that next color, and we'd have
Try
to
to break that board.
Yeah, break a board. That was one of the things we had to do. We had to do everything that we knew to do, all the katas and everything we had learned. I don't remember what they were called, patterns, I think. Do all those things and break a board, which is above and beyond what we do. Well, today we're doing a belt test. Today we're going to take everything we've done up to this point, and we're going to put it into this one show and go from end to end, everything up to this point. Primarily focused on the variables, because we've done a lot on the variables, right?
Yep.
All right. So my goal here is to tie together the preprocessor variables, the localization variables, the bind variables, the runtime variables of both directories and properties. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
We have no time to waste. Sorry. So we're not even going to a kata. We're just going straight into sparring.
Yep.
Martin, so great to have you here. We're going to bring some of your work in a little bit, so glad you can make it this week. All right, here we're starting. I want to point out that I've hinted at this other build team that was maintaining things for us that would integrate it into the CI systems and all that kind of stuff, David. Mm-hmm. All right, so on that front, I'm introducing a build.command. Okay. So we're going to take a quick look at what the build guys gave us. We'll make this bigger. All right. This build.command is just MS build, an MS build command. Make that a little bit bigger. A little bigger. All right. All right. And all they're doing is running a build command of this solution that we've got set up from the dev team that they've been doing some work. And they set this property called the build version. And they're in charge of the build version. Right now, they said the build version will be 1.0.0. All right.
Okay. Yep.
We're the setup team. Our job is to break out Visual Studio here, open it up on the other window. And we're going to open up this project, open a project or solution, episode 18. Let's go back to Dojo. Episode 18 in the belt test. All right. So the dev team has been busy. We'll take a look at their work, just like we did before. Let's see, get this up and running. This is a console app. They've been a little bit busy since our last episode, but they not much. They now have 2 registry keys that they maintain, and they've moved it into the belt test registry key. They want us to set the addition, which was that same thing we did with community and enterprise, if you remember.
Right. Yep.
And they have this new thing called customer. And what they want the customer to be able to do is say, add a deployment. So when our software is being installed at a company, they want the customer to be able to say, we are, let's say, Fire Giant, installing the Deployment Dojo software. I'd like to customize it so it says Fire Giant when I'm doing an install. All right.
Okay.
So that says that's an install time customization. At the place where people are installing, they want to customize our installation.
Sure.
All right.
All right.
And we have two editions. We have the community and we have the enterprise. All right. So we have to get those two things built and so on and so forth. All right. Makes sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and build the WiX library for this console app. All right. We're going to start real close to the console app. So I'm going to create a WiX library and we're going to call it console app. I'll call it WiXlib. Library. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So this is our project, and we're going to put all the logic inside here for installing this console app.
Sure.
Okay. Wait for it. Okay. I know last time we did the work where we like pulled things out of the existing project. Here we're going the other way around, and we're going to start down close to what the dev team needed, right? Get their requirements set. So we do. We don't need a WiXL file for this. We'll bring that back when we're actually doing installations. All right. So we're in a fragment. We need to create a component group. Component group, please. We'll call it the console app 1 stuff. No, we're just going to call it stuff because we only have stuff, right? And we're going to put it in the directory that we've been using, the standard naming just for us that we call install folder. We'll have to go define that later, right?
Right.
And component, and I need to put a file in it, source equals, and they called it console app1, app1.exe. Boom. We're now installing their file. We need to add a project reference to make sure that their stuff builds before our WiXlib builds. And I'm going to do one change to the console live. I'm going to add bind files equals true. Oh,
Yep.
David, I forgot. We're on RC2. This is RC2 with the latest heat wave. Everything's up to date.
Okay.
I know it's such a minor event, major event, but it's just like, yeah, RC1, RC2, everything's just getting better and better, fewer bugs.
Do you have to worry about the switching to the 30 to 32-bit versus 64-bit on this one?
That's not going away. That's a Visual Studio thing.
Okay.
But I'm glad you brought that up because we do need to bring that up. So good thinking. And I've been thinking about this from all these deployment dojos. I think I'm going to make this part of the template. We're just going to set bind files true in libraries. Okay. So we now have our library set up to install our file and put all of the contents inside this library. This is almost nice self-contained. The only thing we're missing is our registry keys, right?
Right.
So let's go ahead and add our registry. I don't want a key, I want a registry value. And what is it? Root equals HKLM, right? These are local machines. We should bring up our program here. Program needs local machine software belt test. That's what we're looking for. Key equals software belt test. Name equals, one of them is now called addition. And one of them now is called customer. Right?
Right.
All right, cool. I'm going to leave the values blank for now because we're going to have to think about those in the context of how do we set these values to the correct things. We need one to be the addition and we need one to be the customer. Well, we don't even have an addition or a customer, so we'll come back and think about those in a minute. All right?
Okay.
But
Yep.
we know that we need to come back and do those. So, hey, let's just drop a comment in here, an XML comment. To do, set the values for these registry keys. There we go. To do. Cool.
Cool.
All right. Cool. We have a library. I'm just going to do a build real quick. Do a build our solution, see the output, and there's our WiXlib being built. All right. Everything's great. We're not hooked into anything because we don't have any packages to install. So we should probably go create those now, right?
Right.
Okay. Now let's go add new project, and we're going to add the community project first. Community package. All right. Black belt test. We're just adding this. So we will have both a community and an enterprise package in a minute. But let's go ahead and work on community first.
Okay.
We don't need our example components. This installs our source file, but we know that we're going to go use the library instead. So we could just delete that file and we don't need it anymore. And instead, we need to bring this component group's ID stuff into the package itself right there. So now we have hooked up our package, this feature. Remember, we have both features and directories. We've hooked that up to stuff. Let's fix our title here. I'll put a tilde on it. All right.
Okay.
So we are the tilde deployment dojo manufacturer, and I'm going to set, and we need to get our version correct because we know that comes from the build lab. We now have this component group. Oh, and this is this one. We need to add a project reference to our library to make sure that we get that built so we can use it inside this MSI.
Right.
All right. Now, our library said it needs install folder, so we need to find that somewhere for them. Well, in our folders, the template gave us install folder, so we're all good here. Okay.
Okay.
So we already have a directory in program files, and we need to make sure that our build configuration, as you said, is marked to x86. 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 Because Visual Studio, for some reason, when you start at any CPU, like our console app done, they're saying, oh, well, if you're any CPU, then we're going to push you towards x64. I don't know why they push us towards x64. Okay. Okay. So we have community. We've created community. We've got it set up. Now we need to get our version correct here. Well, let's go do that. All right.
Right.
Because we've done no variables yet, right? I mean, we've seen some floating around, but we've not added any variables ourselves.
Sure.
Right. All right. So which way do you want to do this, David? I'll give it your choice. Do you want to start from the build.cmd and pipe that number in, or do you want us to go right here and change this version into a variable and wire it back to build.cmd? Your choice. We can go either direction.
Well, I want to do it whatever's normally standard, and I'm not sure which way it would be.
It's not a standard. It's kind of whatever which way you want to go. I could go either way, and it's just kind of honestly like.
So we're from the view of the setup developers, right? So wouldn't we do it here first and then go the other way?
Sure. Let's do it that way. So let's give this. We need to give this a variable, and this is a build time thing, right? This is a build time variable, right?
Sure.
Build time variables are called what in the Windows installer?
The build time, the runtime stuff?
Nope, not runtime. Build time.
Or compile
yeah,
time.
at the compile time, we're going to create a pre-process variable. We're going to set this right up front. It's going to be built in the MSI right from the very beginning, and we don't have to worry about that number at all. It's like set it in the beginning, it's always that number, right? It doesn't change anywhere in the system, right? When the build sets it, we're just good to go. And you do that with the $parent, and then we give it a name. So let's just call it version, right? So we'll create a variable called version that matches where it goes, the version.
Right.
Cool, right? So there we go.
Yes.
We now have a build time variable. And if we build right now, what do you think is going to happen?
Oh, nothing. It'll put nothing there.
Nope. This is a build time variable, so it says we must have that variable defined.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm guessing too quick, and I'm guessing wrong each time. So
it's all right. It's all right. That's why we're going through and guessing and working our way through it, right? But you are right. There are runtime variables that do not have any values. But build time, the WiX toolset tries to protect you from making mistakes, because the mistake that you might make is typo it. And when you want to know when it fails, you're like, I typoed it. And we're helping you find that typo. So
sure,
that's the motivation behind it. All right. So now we need to go wire this into the build system, which means from our variable inside our source code, we need to go hook it into the project system next. All right. So we're going to community project, and we now need to pass ourselves this value. Property group. Now this is MS Build syntax, remember? Mm-hmm. And we want to define a preprocessor constant. Define constant. Now I've confused myself. It's define constants or define constant. All right. And we have a variable that we want to set, right, to version. Yep. Right? So we want to set this version to some value. Right? Now this value is the build value. Okay?
Right.
This is from whatever the build guys gave us. So let's go look at what the build guys gave us. I'm going to go open, go down and find that build command that's out here from them. And they gave us the variable build version. All right? So this is the MS build variable name. So we have to use theirs, and WiX and MS Build use the same syntax for the build preprocessor variables, that $parent thing. All right, so what are we doing? We're taking the variable that the build guys set, putting it here and passing in it, and we're calling it version in our world.
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep. All right. Now, to make things work, I'm also going to provide a default here. I can do this in MS Build, and I'm going to put 0. I'm going to put the build version 0. So if we're not building from the build lab, we'll get 0 as the version number, which is fine for our dev testing.
Okay.
But when we build from the outside, we'll get a real version, and we'll see the difference there. So they have 1.0.0, and if we don't use the build system, we'll just get the version 0, which will be fine for us. Defaults to that passes into this version. This is the build, and then it pops up into our source code as this preprocessor variable right here, and it just replaces it at the very, like even before the compiler starts, at the very beginning, pre-processing. Before it even the code even starts getting processing, that is replaced with whatever value we specify in the build lab, or from the build system. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So now we're setting the build number from the command line, and let's go ahead and do that build. We're going to do this real quick. Just want to show it, kind of cement it. All right. Our error went away. Our MSI is now here. Great. Good. Let's spin up our handy dandy sandbox. Woo. All right. Sandbox will spin up. Now, I did a build from inside Visual Studio. What do we expect the version number to be? Oh, Sandbox is being slow today.
What, for the 0?
Yep.
Because you haven't used the build?
That's right, because I didn't use the official build.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Sandbox is being slow. It's here over here on my other monitor where it pops up, and it
probably hidden.
It won't even pop up. I hope I don't have another window open somewhere. Let's see. Those are only 3 windows there. Those are 3 windows there. Oh, come on, Sandbox, be good today. Well, I've never had it take this long. Okay, there it came in. I don't know what it's doing. Maybe I had an update and the Sandbox had to rebuild, and it hadn't done so before. Because there's something about the way the Sandbox integrates with the host operating system, like my computer, and everything that it does. Okay, so we're in belt test. We're in the community package. We're going to do a build, x86, debug enus. There's our community package. We'll run it. And we should be able to see the version number in here when I refresh. 0. Right? Because we built it from inside Visual Studio. So this is a really nice way for, hey, look, the devs know that whenever they're messing around with their build numbers, it's just 0. It's kind of a handy way to have it work. And then official builds get real numbers. Non-zero numbers, I guess.
Okay.
Cool. All right, there's our Sandbox. Let's go ahead and build from the command line real quick. All right.
Okay.
So,
same thing. Same. You're just doing it from the command line.
I'm just doing it. I'm going to do it like the build machine would do it. This is really what it is. All right. And I'm going to go look at belt test, community package. And just so we're not confused, I'm going to remove both bin and belt test, community package, OBJ folders. Okay. So I removed both of those. And now I'm going to run the build command here. All right. And if you remember, that build command is just calling MS build on our solution and passing the build version number in. It's nice and clean. Console app 1. And there's our MSI all built. So how do we verify it? Let's spin up our Sandbox. Comes up much faster this time. So what do you expect to be the version this time when I install it in here?
Wait, you didn't use the build, right?
I did use the build.
Oh, okay. So the 1.1.0.
Did I not? Man, now you're making me guess. Yeah, I used the build command. Yeah.
Okay.
Build command ran that. All right. So the number we expect to see is
the 1.0.
0. Notice how all those other folders were cleaned up because I did a clean build from here. It's nice, right. Because I cleaned all of them up. Visual Studio will just build all kinds of stuff. It's like, hey, I'm going to build a bunch of things that make my life easier, your life dirtier. 1.0. Okay. You can see now how we've allowed the build guys to control the build number, get it into our package, and we now control where it gets used inside our package.
Okay. Yep.
Very handy. Very cool. And this variable gets replaced at the very beginning. And we don't have to just use this variable here. We could use this variable in other places if we wanted to. Right? Because this is just a variable. We could put it anywhere in our code. All right. Maybe we'll do that when we get towards the end. The next thing we need to do before we get too far along is we need to make this community package multilingual, right?
Okay.
We have one. Let's bring up the other one. And how do we do that? Well, Martin was good enough to give us our Danish drop, so I could just drag and drop that file right here, and poof, we've got a localization. So when I build now, what am I going to get? The downgrade error is split into two. We have to update to this. Okay. All right, and we now have to adapt our English one to the whatever the Danish did. Okay. Remember this?
Yes.
Yes.
I remember this.
All right. We're going to do this, even though this is the wrong way to do it. No, it's... Yeah. All right. We're going to fix a bug. We're going to do several things here. Manufacturer, we're going to keep it the same. And then we're going to keep one downgrade error. Okay. So manufacturer as a variable, downgrade error as a variable. And we're going to fix them. The loc guys gave us this. They're like, no, guys, only one message. So we'll put this in here. Our runtime variable of our name in there, like that. There. So we fixed the localization. Forgot we left it in that state. And now we can come back into our package. There's our loc variable for downgrade error. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put another loc variable right here, I think. Manufacturer. Okay.
Okay.
So they are our deployment dojo, and we'll put EN US here. And in DADK, so we could just see it. DADK. All right. What happens when we build here?
Okay, it's going to use those two variables in the...
Yes, and these variables happen not at the very beginning, not like version. They happen later, and we end up with two MSIs being built because we have two languages. Build. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Community package getting built. That's to build both MSIs, and it also does a stack analysis on both of them. So you can see here we output two. Community package here, DADK, and deployment dojo there. Cool?
Cool.
Let's bring up our sandbox. And how will we know if we install the DADK that we got the right one? Well, the manufacturer will be different, right? Be one thing. Right. We don't actually have to make the downgrade error happen. We'll see it in the manufacturer name.
Because you put DADK, right?
Yeah, I added DADK to it. All right, let's see. Plus, I think it'll end up in our install directory because our name is in there too. Community package, bin, x86, debug, DADK. Let's do DADK. Community package, go. Actually, you know how else? There, it was in Danish. It went by really fast. I don't know if you could see it, but it actually was in Danish because we localized the whole MSI into Danish. I forgot. Windows installer would be like, oh, this is a Danish package. We'll show Danish progress. Anyway, that's another thing that would show, but it's really fast. There's our DADK name, and because our name is in our folder, there it is. And if we run our console app 1, it's busted, right? Welcome to the blank console and register to our blank customer.
You're right.
We probably should get on that, huh? We're messing around out here getting all our localization stuff hooked up, which is good. I mean, it's good that we have our loc stuff worked out. Let's now focus on our... Oh, actually, you know what we do need to do? I think we need to create the enterprise package. Right?
Oh, okay.
Right. Probably should create that. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to do this. This is one of the powers of WiX Toolset that makes it really easy. It's all just source code. It's all just MS build and text files on your directory. So I'm going to go start into belt test. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to grab the community package. I'm going to copy it. Let's see. Copy. Oh, I forgot these new icons. Copy, and I'm going to paste it again. Paste it. All right, cool. Now what I'm going to do, delete this and change it to enterprise package. All right. Pretty easy. And I'm going to rename the package in here to enterprise package. I know this is all tiny, but enterprise package. Cool. Just like that. Yep. Nice and easy, right? All right, it's cool. So I copied it on disk. Let's add it to Visual Studio so Visual Studio knows about it. This is one of the fastest ways to just add existing project. Inbuilt test. There's our enterprise package. Yes, the WiX project, please. And poof, we have enterprise package here. An exact copy of community. All right.
Nice.
Nice. It was like, yeah, that easy. Okay. And we have our 2 localization files. So now we need to go fix these. Deploying Dojo Enterprise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Martin can give us Enterprise in Danish, whatever that is, and community in Danish. Maybe we can get those 2 words while I go ahead and drop them in here. This needs to be community. And then community. And then if Martin's able to translate for us on the fly, we will have community. Thinking. Ooh, we made it hard on him, huh? I didn't think. Words out of the middle of nowhere, just poof, turn them into. Okay. So what I did, I just went back into community and I updated our manufacturer, and I updated here, and we did it in the loc file so that we could send this out to localizers and have them be localized, right? Which we did through the power of the chat window and talking to them. We're hoping we get something back. Maybe we're just going to get these values straight up. It'll be fine. All right, so let's see. What's next here? Okay, so we now have Enterprise, and we built it, and its dependencies. Look at that, like it's already hooked up to the console library for us and everything, right? So look how easy it was for us to duplicate an entire project and just start from there and start tweaking it as we needed to. All right, this is just nice because it's just text files again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and look, our version's in place, and if we look at our Enterprise package, our version's in place, and because by default the Windows installer will use the name of our project, we're going to get a different project name here. Okay. All right. So how many MSIs, if I build right now, are we building out of this solution?
What? 1, 2, 4?
4. 2 for each of these. Pretty fast. We can get big places. So you can see why Office that localizes for 120 languages or something like that, how they can get to 300 packages in no time.
So it takes a while to build, or what?
A day.
Oh, wow.
Overnight. But they do lots of parallelisms and things to trick it out. And it's been a long time since I've been there, but when I was there was times where the build would take 18 hours. So, and that's terrible. You'd start on one day and you'd get to, you start on the afternoon, you'd go overnight, and you'd go into the midday the next day to get the build out to verify that what you got done. That's really brutal. You want to keep it under 12 hours at least, because then you could go to bed and wake up with it. Right.
And then
so
you failed validation on one of them, right?
Yeah, and then something's wrong, then you have to do it again. and then you try to start in the middle of the day, and it comes back in the morning, but then you get that one, and you just kind of like you're constantly pushed later and later as you rotate on the cycle. It's really hard when you get builds outline. Fortunately, our builds are being measured in seconds still down here, although we're going to double that probably. Okay, so now we have Enterprise package, which means we now can go back to our console library. Who wants to know the value, right? What edition are we? Are we community or are we enterprise? Now this console app library only gets built one time, all right? So right. I could use a variable here, right? Like, how about I just use a preprocessor variable? Why don't I do that? Why don't I put like addition in a variable and I'll just set it inside, the build and have it get set? Why doesn't that just work?
Why doesn't it just work?
All right. Well, if I set addition here, then I go set it inside the console app library. Right. I'm going to say addition equals, what do I put here?
Unknown. Don't know yet.
Community or enterprise?
Yeah, right.
or this syntax isn't a syntax, by the way.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
You see here our problem. We build this library one time, which is nice. We can build it once and use it across all of our packages many times, repeatedly, all that good stuff. But it means we need a different variable type, which means we need the super powerful, super cool bind variable.
Yep. Also
known as WiX variables. All right, so we need to create one. So we're going to create these. They're a little funny looking. They have the bang at the front of them, the same as the loc variables, which tells you that they happen later in the build process. But the bang parentheses tells you it happens in the inside the build process, just like the dollar parent says it happens in the build process. These just happen really late. So we said now, hey, I want to have a WiX variable called editor. How about we build?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen?
That one is the one that will put the blank in there, right?
No.
No.
It's still build time. It's still build time.
Well, then it's going to error. Then if
it's going to error because it wants to tell you, did you know you're missing this variable? Both, and look at our projects. It's both the community and the enterprise package. Both of them need to define this variable because both of them use this library. This library says, I need anybody that uses me needs to tell me what the addition is when you're using it.
Okay.
Okay. So, and we do that again in WiX because.
So you go to each project and put the addition that you're building.
That's in. All right. This package is. I should have named these differently. You know, we're going to because the names of these files don't matter. We're going to call this end package. So now I'll be able to find it. End package. This is the enterprise package. So we define our WiX variable. ID equals, what did I call it? Addition? Yes. Value.
Wait, didn't you do the WiX editor? Isn't that what you put in there?
It's WiX addition. Oh, editor. Thank you. See? Typo. All right, I'm gonna leave it. This is a perfect example I want to show you. All right, I'm putting WiX addition in. This is supposed to be enterprise. All right, great. This is what I expect. See, you caught me. Pair programming is a wonderful thing sometimes. To catch exactly these. All right, I'm now in community. I've now set the WiX variable addition, correct?
Right.
And this is going to work perfectly. No, it's going to fail.
If you would have put
and I would sit here, and honestly, I'm glad you said that, because I would look this here going, what did I do wrong? Wait, but and I would have to see that little R is not closed all the way down. So yes, that's the problem. Again, this is what we want to happen. We want the build to catch it on the dev's machine before they send it to the build lab and have that 18-hour process run, or worse, they send it out to the customer and it gets out to the customer. Did I spell addition wrong? Man, that's just busted. Okay, all kinds of things wrong. All right, so now if I build now, will this work?
Let me see.
I have this WiX addition.
Oh no, because you didn't put it in the other.
I did. I went in package. I added community.
Did you put it in enterprise?
And then let's go look at my enterprise, and I did put it in enterprise.
Oh, okay, I did. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Cool. So now we expect this to build.
I expect it to.
Build. Oh, that 64-bit command.
Oh, okay.
You know what that is? That's just says someone's 64-bit. Yeah, we added enterprise, but we forgot to tell them x86.
Gotcha.
It's the worst. I need to send this video to Visual Studio and say, see, if this trips me up all the time, just thinks with new people. You guys got to do a better job here. Let us control that. All right. Okay. So let's install one. Which one do you want to install? I'm going to spin up the sandbox.
All right, let's do the community.
Which one in community? I have two in community.
Oh, the English one that I can read.
All right. So you can see how your test matrix now gets kind of crazy here when you start adding all these languages.
Right.
All right. Belt test. You said we want to do community in the binary, x86 debug in the English one. We're going to install the community package there. All right, here we go. Installing. Boom. And if I refresh here, community package, that looks good. And now deployment dojo. And if we run our console app, what do we expect it to show?
Version nothing.
Oh yeah, you're right. Version is nothing. Good. You got that. That's good. Yeah, you're right. Version is nothing. But the console app's going to run. It reads that registry key that hopefully we now have value in.
For the community.
Yeah, so we ran community. So if it worked, hey, we now have the community console app one. Yay. Okay. Yep. So we solved one problem. Now let's go solve our customer. We're going to go a little long today. You ready?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Cool. So the next problem we had, actually, this is great, right? We've gotten really far. So now the next thing we had is we have that one. We need to set the value on this customer. The requirement was that when someone installs our application, that we wanted them to be able to set their name in it. So when our app ran, it would show their name. Mm-hmm. That's an install time thing. It's going to happen at the customer at an install. When they run the install, they have to set this value.
Okay.
So what does that mean that this has to be here? What kind of variable do we use? Do you remember?
Well,
I think you were sick for this day.
I'm not some kind of runtime variable.
Yep, the property, the Windows installer property, and the way you reference a property is with the square brackets.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have got that one. I forgot about that.
Yep, this is the one I think you were sick and Bob ran with me here. All right, so
Yeah, let's go with that.
yeah, let's go with. Yeah, I'm certain it was. I remember. All right, so this is now saying, hey, I have a property that I want you to set, or that you can set and override, and I will put the value at install time into this registry key. Now, David, if I don't set the value of this on the command line, what do I get?
I'm gonna say it breaks, but that's wrong. It'll be blank, right?
It will be blank.
Yeah.
All right, it'll be blank. Okay.
I wanted to miss them all. I missed the other ones. Kept saying
I know. So I wanted to ask. I had to ask
I
the
should
last
have known
time.
better.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to build again. Now, what happens? I want to show you real quick what happens. The WiX lib gets built one time, and then our MSIs get all built again because they include the WiX lib. But that WiX lib and this little block of code only got compiled one time, and then we built all those different packages, both the community and the enterprise package.
Okay.
All right. All right. Cool. I'm going to do. Yeah, this is fine. We're good. I'm going to bring it up, and I want to see. I want to show it working, which means I'm going to need a command prompt. Okay, let's see. Bring up the sandbox. And I hope I have a command prompt. No command prompt here. These? All right, because we have to pass these on the command line to the Windows installer, right?
All right.
Okay, so I want to go. Which one do you want to install this time?
You can do enterprise this time
All
if
right,
you're there.
enterprise. Let's see. x86. Sorry, debug. Let's do Danish.
All right.
All right, so I'm gonna go to that directory. I'll make this bigger. There we go. MSI exec /I. Pass it our MSI enterprise, right?
Mhm.
And I'm going to pass the command the property. Does it have to be all caps?
I thought it did, right?
It
Doesn't have
does.
to be-
In the
yeah.
code, it has to be all caps. But Bob and I discovered that it on the command line, it does not have to be all caps. It can be all kinds of mixed cases. All right.
Okay.
So we're no longer deploying Dojo. We're now Fire Giant, right? We're now working for me. I guess I work for me. Well, however that works. Anyway, and we're gonna say Fire Giant is installing this thing on the machine. All right. So we want to see the customer is going to be Fire Giant. If this all works, hey, there's the Danish going by, and that's not the right window. Where's the right program files? DADK console app. Famous last words. Go and look. Enterprise console register to our Fire Giant customer.
Nice.
Okay, so why did that work? We passed on the command line during the install time, and when it wrote this registry value, it filled in that value. Okay, so we could do another quick test since we're here. Let's uninstall. That's community. Did I install community? I thought I installed enterprise.
I thought you did too. You did enterprise Danish, right?
I thought so. Oh, here's the Windows installer telling me, hey, did you know that app is still running? I'm like, yes, I did. All right, sorry. And it's telling us, hey, shut that app down before we uninstall, because I can't remove it otherwise, because it's still running. All right, well, we have a bug then, but we'll have to go figure that one out in a minute. All right, now what are we going to do? We're just going to install enterprise as it is. So what's the customer going to be this time?
Okay, so it'll be empty string.
That's right. It still says community package. We're gonna have to go fix that. I don't know why that's not at all correct. We'll have to go fix that. And where the app enterprise, Dojo enterprise, console app 1, enterprise, no customer. Okay.
All right.
All right. So let's say, let me kill the sandbox here. Let's say we wanted to have a default value. So if the user doesn't put anything, they don't get blank. All right.
Okay.
Let's give them a default value. So let's go ahead and define the property by default.
So do you have to do that before you do the equals by the customer down there? Is it?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I could put this anywhere. Why did I put it here? I don't know, because it felt good.
Sure.
Doesn't matter. And we're going to call them the valued customer. Okay. Now, so let's go poke around a little bit and see. Let's deploy Dojo Enterprise. Deploy Dojo Enterprise. Version console app 1. Well, that's a mystery to me right now. We'll have to go run that down at some point and figure out. Oh, that's why. Name.
Community, yeah.
Why is the name of the package community? Because you left the name of the community package. Community. All right, there we go. Boom. So now anytime we pull in this library, we will get valued customer by default. That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. So what if I took this property out of the library and I only put it in enterprise? Then I installed community. What would I get?
Well, if you install community, then you would get the blank.
That's right.
For customer, right?
Yeah. And if I installed enterprise, I'd get.
You get this valued if you didn't put anything, right?
So maybe the program team comes back to the management team comes back to me and says, hey, we will only want to put valued when they're in enterprise, and otherwise we just want them to be normal customers.
Does this, if you had the property in there twice, would this override it here in this package?
Ooh, let's try that. That's a great question. So I'm going to put it in the library. So the dev team put customer and put value down in theirs, right?
Right.
And then in enterprise, we're going to put it here too. I'm curious, what do you think it's going to do?
Right. Well, I think it would. I'm not sure. Can you change the value just in case it does work? You can.
Oh, yes, sure. Okay.
Sure.
Right. It's just someone.
Yeah.
or no, just some customer as opposed to valued customer. There we go. All right. So when we do a build and build a solution, ready?
Oh, actually, the properties. It'll say there's. Yeah. Okay.
It's going to say.
There's already a property for that.
Duplicate symbol. It's going to tell you that it's here. When I double click on it, it says this and this collide. Because we pulled that library in, and then we also used it here inside that. Now, one thing I want to point out is, look, the community package, I don't know if you can see it, he built just fine.
Yep.
He built fine because there's only one property in his world. Right? All right. Let's take that out. And so if we wanted to make this a variable here, right, then we would have to.
I'm assuming since this is via, from the setup engineer's point of view, most of the property IDs like this are going to be in the library. Is that true?
Yeah. Certainly the all caps ones will be, right? Because you generally want to control them as a setup team. So, because that's kind of like your public API, right? That's the command line that
right.
that you are exposing to your customers. You don't want just random devs who don't know all the stuff about setup adding a whole bunch of those necessarily.
Right.
So yes, generally most properties. There may be internal properties that things need to use. There are many uses for properties. We're just kind of scratching the surface here. But that where they may need to use them as a dev, but in general, no. What you control them usually at the applet for public ones.
Okay.
Cool.
So
what we just saw was preprocessor variables used to set our version just up front very early. Then we had loc variables that allow us to change, to do a build and then spit out multiple languages all at the same time, so we could change those things that users see, like our manufacturer and our downgrade error message, which we haven't used. Something else we need to test, David, that we've not done. Then we used a variable in our library to say, hey, I want to build this library one time, but I need you to change this particular value whenever you use this library. Right? So when you use this library, you have to set this value. There we used a bind variable, or also known as a WiX variable. And then we had the requirement to set something at install time to change so the customer could set their own value here. Right? And let's go and build with community. So I've picked up that variable from the library, I picked up the property from the library, and I put it in community, and then I put another one in enterprise. Now we can do a last build. And we can pick one more thing to install. I think we should probably install enterprise one more time to make sure that we fixed
the community
our name in our product as well.
Right.
Building. Also, one thing I don't know, you see this 1 and 2 and 3 over here?
Yes.
That's actually showing you which processor the build is happening on. So the library built on 1, and then enterprise started on 2, and community started on processor 3, and that's why they finished so close to each other.
Okay.
So where we added 4, where we had 8 when we had 8 seconds when we had just 1 MSI, and then we added 4 MSIs. You'd think it's to go to 32 seconds. We don't, because we're able to do a couple in parallel, and we only go up to 15 seconds. Kind of nice when you can split your builds into separate spots. All right, here we go. We're going to spin up this, and we're going to do an install, and we're going to install Enterprise English. Is that, did we do? I think we did Danish last time, so we'll do English this time. Yep. Enterprise bin x86 debug enus enterprise, and we're going to install just it straight up. What values do we expect it to spit out of the running the app?
Well, we get the
default value for enterprise.
Which I don't know, what was it, valued or something like that? Was that the default for the customer?
Yeah, that's our enterprise code. Console app 1 runs. There we go. Enterprise customer registered to our valued customer. And let's close it. Uninstall it. Make sure that we did not break setting it from the command line now that we've set a default, which was kind of nice that we could set a default inside the Windows installer. Go back. CD to there. MSI exec switch I. Our MSI. I forgot the name of it. Enterprise MSI. And customer. I'm going to make it different cases. Customer equals FireGiant again. All right.
All right.
Installs fast. Do a refresh here. We still have the right thing. We don't need this command prompt. We're now going to run our app, see it run, see it spit out, and we're going to see FireGiant is our customer. Ta-da! And we have installed Enterprise Console app. There you go. All 4 different kinds of properties. I have one more thing.
Variables. Right.
Variables. Sorry, what did I say?
Properties.
Properties. Properties are only one type of variable. Oh, well, okay. 2 things I want to show you. Did I close it? I closed it, didn't I? The other thing is, if you remember, we can not only customize our properties, we can also customize our install locations. Right?
Oh, right.
So let's go ahead and do community this time, then x86 debug DADK, and then in here, MSI exec switch I community package MSI install folder equals C:\apps FireGiant, because we're FireGiant, and what is this? Console
app 1, right?
Yeah, CA1. That's what we're gonna call it. Okay.
Nice.
So I'm gonna tell install here. That's a whole bunch of directories. By the way, none of those directories exist right now. So here's program files folder. And if we look at this, there's no apps folder here to start with. So when we do an install, it's gonna do its thing. Hey, look, there's an apps folder now. And inside that apps folder, there's a FireGiant folder because I told it to. And oh, look, now there's a CA1 folder. And then when I run this console app, it says, welcome to the community console app 1, registered to some customer, our some customer. We need to work on the grammar a little bit. But so you can see that, look, it used the default value because I didn't override that from the command line, and it installed it to my custom location. Right? Very cool. Very cool. All right. I want to point out one more thing, because I've been glossing over this a whole lot. So in the library, we understand WiX variables, right? These happen late in the build process. When the library comes in, when it expects, hey, I need this value provided at the very end of the build, because I built this library, then I build all my other, package code, and then when I bring the library and the package code together, that's when it finds out, hey, you need this WiX variable set, right? That makes sense? Nothing new there. There are these things. This is why we call them bind variables. These are the same thing. These bind variables here that you can use will do lookups, and they're built into the Windows installer, and you can look up things like properties and then like manufacturer, So it will go and find the value of the manufacturer property and put it right here. And here it will do the property product name. These properties are built-in properties from the Windows installer that come from the package name and manufacturer. If you've been wondering, how did we get the name of the manufacturer and the product name into our folder every time without having to go and change it? Because I changed it a bunch of times, right? In fact, I had community and then it was wrong and I just fixed it enterprise and then suddenly it was installed to the correct location. How was that? It's because we have these bind variables that work the exact same thing. These are essentially, they're whatever value you put in your code, you can then reference them here. And they happen very late. So something we could try to do, I haven't done this, instead of customer here, yes, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take out property from both of our MSIs. We're going off the reservation a little bit here. We're going to bring it back to our library. And we're going to have the library default to the bind property manufacturer. So this is going to pick up whatever MSI I'm building in, if it works. It's going to pick up whatever MSI I'm building in and use the manufacturer from that MSI. And it's not evaluated at runtime. It's set at build time. Because I can't set a property to another property. This, by the way, this does not work. I mean, it works. It just sets customer to the value square bracket foo. It does not give you, does not go and find the foo variable and put in here. That's not the way the installer works. Okay. That's a constant string. So here, this syntax says, just like WiX is very late, it's like go bind, find me the property manufacturer. I'm going to do a build here and see if this works. Because I didn't try it before the stream, and we'll go out on a little bit of a bang. All right. While that's building, Dojo, WSB. You know, I should have built this from the command line. Whatever, doesn't matter. Which one do you want to install this time? They're now done building.
Okay, let's go back to the enterprise then.
All right. Which one?
The enterprise Danish, isn't that the first one we did?
Sure. Enterprise Danish. Okay, so when I install this, the default customer value we expect to be the manufacturer that of the MSI that we built. Okay. So what's the manufacturer of the...
Can we go look at it? Yeah.
The manufacturer is this variable that gets localized. All right.
Okay.
So we basically have a variable that says at build time, figure out this variable, and that variable comes from our local file. We're doing Danish.
Yep.
So if this works, it's going to be this value is what we're going to see in the console app if everything works together. And I have pushed so many variable resolutions inside the build time that I really don't know if it's going to work, but I hope it does. It should. All right, we installed. There's Dojo Enterprise Danish. That looks good. And it's still a dev build because I'm not zeros. Dev Danish.
See what happens when you run it.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
All right. So these are a great way to use these WiX variables, these bind variables. And I use those terms interchangeably because we've been trying to clean up the language in WiX because we got two different names and I tried to change them. And in fact, you remember, David, I made a reference to bind variables and it turned out they're still called WiX variables.
Right.
Bob actually fixed that bug for me like within hours after the meeting, after the show. So I appreciate that, Bob. Thank you. Anyway, so these both happen late binding, late time. And this is a great way to get that value of that manufacturer, that property. And there are other ones. If you go look at the WinStar documentation, you can find more of these kinds of things to pull values in.
Okay.
From the build. It's very, very cool. Very, very cool thing. And remember, it's not evaluated at runtime. It's evaluated at build time. This will be evaluated at runtime. And we chose to make this a property because we want to be able to set it from the command line. This
But that's
here,
good. The manufacturer, if it wasn't in the Danish, it would have broke and it wouldn't have compiled.
yeah, like okay, all of those things would have fallen apart. Exactly. And the nice thing is that your MSI is built, it's done, it doesn't change anymore, right? It's you don't have to do runtime evaluations to do it. It's like, why make something a variable when it's always the same value? Just make it a constant. Boom, done.
Right.
Cool. So there's a whole tour across all the variables, and people spend, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on preprocessor variables because people overuse preprocessor variables. You see people like have like 50 preprocessor variables for every single thing under the sun. And then you go and find it, and you find out that that preprocessor variable is like used in one place. And that kind of stuff just drives me crazy. Preprocessor variables are designed to be things that you need to set from the outside world in, that you want to set once, like our build system, right? Where we need to pass this from the WiX project and the build command line that the build guys set and pass that in and come in. But most people, I'm hoping if they watch this show, will be like, whoa, there's all these other kinds of variables, and I wasn't using them because they were overusing preprocessor variables.
Okay.
All right. I know you're like, whatever. They're all new to me. I use them. None. I'm using them now just for the first time.
Right.
But these are the power of them. That's where we're at. This is the end of the variable thing. We've been going on this for weeks. This is actually the end of a chapter in it. And if you feel like it, Dave, I think we've leveled up. I don't have belt colors or anything like that. Maybe I should have belt numbers. But this is kind of like the fundamentals. From here, we can build a lot. Next dojo, next week, we're going to take a break from doing WiX stuff, actually. And we're going to go and focus more on the build side here a little bit. We're going to go take a break and talk about more software integration and how WiX can integrate into your software processes and standard processes and things you can use, because we need to start building more complex apps, and we need to kind of level up some of our software engineering outside of the WiX tool set. So I hope that's exciting, David.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah, we're going to go, I'm going to introduce GitHub. Which everybody used to, but we're going to start seeing how you can get WiX and all that kind of stuff integrated to it, and then we'll build from there. So that's this show. Anything else you want to cover, Dave?
No, I think you covered a great deal during that one. That's a good example.
Yeah, this is a supersize. This is a double episode, actually. Like we're running right down here to an hour, no longer a half-hour show. This is an hour show. Hopefully you guys had a good time. I hope a lot of you hung out with us to the end. Hope you learned something at this. This is kind of like the summation of everything we've done up through the last 18 weeks. Next week, we will start in the build process. So until then, and go install WiX RC2. It's out. As you can see, we've been using all of it here. WiX 4 RC2 is out. Go upgrade to it. Get the latest heat wave. It's been doing all the heavy lifting for us here. And until next time, we'll be back next Wednesday. Same time, same place. Till then, guys, take it easy. Bye.
See ya.
Take it